Good evening, pilots and mercs. Today we are going to be having a look at Harpy explains how to play BattleTech in 7 minutes, the easy way. Now I'm very interested to see how he explains this because, you know, it takes a little bit to get a BattleTech game going. And it also usually takes a while to get all the rules set up and everything like that, trying to get your forces moving, try to figure out all the rules. That's usually why I play MechTech when it comes to most of the games. Otherwise, it's going to end up being like a 3-hour journey. So I'm very interested to see how this gets along. But grab your snacks, grab your drinks, and let's roll the film. How to play BattleTech in 7 minutes, the easy way.
Do you want to play Battle, but you don't want to get a PhD just to understand how to shoot? Do you?
Yes, please. Most of the time it ends up being, the amount of rule books that you have to go through.
Watching a feature-length documentary's worth of tutorials. Do you not?
He's not wrong. However, they're good to know just in case you need the advanced rules for anything like floating critical hits, for mech tech, that sort of thing. But they can be a little complicated and look more like an Excel spreadsheet than an actual game.
Please want to have a migraine every time you shoot an LRM? Then fear not, because Fletcheats is here to take care of all of the boring,
He's not wrong,
nerd stuff, so you can focus on, playing the game. If you're new to BattleTech, or you just want the game to be way more fun, Fletcheats is going to be your friend. So let's go over how to set up and use it. First, type in what mech you want in the search bar, and you'll be brought to its datasheet. I know this looks scary and confusing, but it's more straightforward than it looks, and you don't need...
Honestly, this looks pretty typical, but at least for this, this is going to be a lot easier than some of the other stuff.
To worry about it right now, so just add everything you want to your list. I don't need to explain how this Google tab system works. To avoid having matches where one player gets their anal cavity widened for 2 hours, you and your opponent...
I mean, don't worry about it. The Atlas here is just scouting the Shadowhawk. There is nothing nefarious going on about this. And also, what is up with that actor? You know what? I don't want to know.
Squad should have nearly the same BV or battle value. So, when you're adding mechs, use the website master unit list and type in the mech that you want to see how much BV it costs. You can also use this matrix to see how much more it's going to cost if you upgrade the pilot. 6,000 to 6,500 BV is a good place to start. Now this by itself is pretty neat. It's a digital mech sheet. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for this. By clicking the yellow gear, you can activate automation, which, as mentioned earlier, lets Fletcheats do all the boring stuff for us.
So this is basically just half the back end of MechTech, which again, I'm not saying as a replacement for this. Those are two different brackets altogether, because this is more you're playing a tabletop game. You just want to automate all this because, quite frankly, trying to sit there and do all the calculations for line of sight and all that nonsense is just, it's too much. I wonder if you can save a build, or if it's just the basic like stock mechs. But for getting the game started, this would be really cool.
Now you've got your mechs and you're ready to play. But if both you and your opponent are using Fletcheats, highly recommended by the way, you can connect to each other, which makes things even easier. Simply go to this tab, type 3 random words, and have your opponent type the same 3 words, and boom, now you're connected. Okay, now let's play the game. First, roll for initiative. You and your opponent roll 2 dice. Whoever gets the higher number wins, and whoever loses has to go first. If you roll the same number, roll again. You each take turns moving 1 mech at a time. It's a disadvantage to go first because your opponent can outposition you. Mechs can do 4 things: hold still, walk, run, and jump if they have jump jets. Stationary is pretty obvious, so let's talk about walking. Clicking the walk button will show you how many moves.
There is something that I will note about being stationary. If you are stationary, you can aim a little bit better with your weapons. So I don't know why he didn't necessarily specify this, but if you stay still, you can take a better, more accurate shot. If you start running, your modifiers go up higher, meaning that trying to shoot is not necessarily going to be as great. Now, you may want those modifiers higher for walking or running, for example, so that way you don't get hit. If say you have if your core is, say your core's damage, you want to try and run, maybe show the enemy this side of your armor, so that way at least you want to show them any armor that's better, essentially. So it's basically a game of modifiers at that point.
Move points your mech has for walking. Mechs can move forward and backward, not side to side. Each hex costs 1 movement.
For the bipedal mechs, yes. Now, if you have quad mechs, things change quite a bit. I do recommend the Tarantula for the light mechs. It's a decent one to start out on. Now, again, later on, you also get like this Striking Spider as well. Those are one of the other ones that I would actually recommend as well. But that's more Dark Age era. And I know how some players feel about that. Just, we'll move on from that. Not trying to start anything in the comments here.
Point. So, the Blackjack can move 4 hexes. Turning also costs 1 movement point for each face of the hex. So spinning around would look like this. Combine both together and a typical walk would look like this. Running is exactly the same, it's just you get more movement points in exchange for accuracy. You shoot the straightest when you hold still, walking makes aiming a little bit harder, and aiming while you're in a full sprint is much harder. Jumping is simplified because you don't need to worry about turning. Just move to where you want to go and land facing whatever direction you want. The downside for jumping is that it generates heat, it usually can't go as far as running, and it's really hard to aim when you're flying through the air, but it's also way harder to hit you, so that's cool. Some hexes cost extra movement points to go into. Light woods and rough cost 1 extra, and it goes like this. Heavy woods cost 2 points. Level changes represent hills or deep water. A mech can step up or down 2 levels than where it is. Stepping up or down 1 level costs 1 extra movement point. Stepping up or down 2 levels costs 2. You can't step up or down 3. Also, stepping into water that is depth 1 or 2 will force you to do a pilot skill roll. This is basically just to check if your pilot eats shit and dies when they try to step in the water.
I totally haven't had one of my battle mechs step into the water and then immediately just go into the water and have the CT explode. Basically just rupture on the spot. And then, well, the pilot did not fare any better. Let's just say that whatever was outside, you know, all the water, well, it basically filled up the entire mech. It was not a great day for the Charger. It was not a good day for anyone on that front.
And this is the first thing that Flet Sheets makes 100 times easier. Just press the button for a pilot skill roll, and it's done completely for you. And if your pilot does fall over, the direction they fall and the damage is all done automatically. Now that you know how to move, let's go over how to use Flet Sheets in the movement phase. Basically, because of turning, the number of hexes you move is not the same as the number of move points you spend. So the button up here is connected to the amount of movement points you spent, and the drop-down list is connected to how many hexes you actually moved, not including turning. So the Blackjack spent 6 movement points to get here, so it counts as a run. But because of all of the turning it did, it only traveled 3 hexes, and that's what you put in the drop-down list. Unlike in the movement phase, each player fires all of their mechs before it's the other's turn. Damage is not applied until both players are done shooting. The person who lost initiative goes first. So, click the weapons you want to fire. Different weapons are mounted in different places, which is listed here. They all have different arcs to how far they can aim, but you can torso twist one face hex to either side. This does not affect the direction damage comes from. Now this window will pop up. This is where you fill out the conditions for the shot. Right here is where you select a target, and if you're connected to your opponent, the TMM will be filled out automatically, but if you are not connected, use this chart to see how much TMM they should have. For the rest of these, you need to know the line of sight to your target. So draw the most direct line you can from your mech to your target. Then put in how many hexes away they are.
And this is actually the really cool part, because trying to calculate all this with the rules and making sure that you got everything is just an absolute pain.
See how many trees the line passes through. Trees on the 50-50 line and the trees that your target is in also count. Trees that your mech is in don't count. Light woods is worth 1 tree, and heavy woods is worth 2. If the line of sight passes through 3 or more points of trees, then the target is hidden. If the target is behind a level 1 hill, press partial cover. If they are behind a level 2 or higher, the target is hidden. You can see over hills that are equal to or lower than your level if you're up on a hill. These two are just for if your opponent fell over. Finally, pick from here based on how your target is facing you. Press resolve fire. And that's it. Yep, that's literally it. Roll for initiative and repeat. Everything else is handled by flet sheets. Even the physical attack phase is exactly the same, it's just that the models have to be touching each other. And to give you new players an appreciation for the hell that flet sheets clears for you, here's a probably incomplete list of things that it automates because I don't even know. Cluster hits, damage, pilot skill rolls from 20 plus
That
damage,
is an insane
pilot damage,
list.
piercing crits, internal damage, critical hits, ammo explosions, pilot consciousness check, pilot seatbelt check, heat, the effects of heat.
Pilot seatbelt check. Okay, I think you threw that one in, but that one was funny.
And the effects of limb loss. And if you're connected to your opponent, you don't even have to add damage to yourself. The damage is just applied automatically to the target. So that's how to play BattleTech the more easy and fun way, or just play Alpha Strike, that also works.
Do you want to play BattleTech, but you don't want to get a PhD?
Okay. I want to address this for a second. I don't know about Alpha Strike on that one, because I've heard that some people are just like, I'm gonna have to look into this one a little bit more, but like, I don't know. Everyone was kind of dismissive about Alpha Strike, and I'm just like, I would prefer to do it this way. Because the classic one doesn't seem like you have to adapt too much of campaign rules and all that when it comes to other books. Trying to apply some of those rules and whatnot. This was actually a great video for trying to see see different mechs and like trying to apply that damage for a tabletop. Like this is, I mean, it's really simple and feature complete as far as stock mechs go. But I wonder how this turns out when you have, like actual mechs that you've built. Because that wasn't really shown here. But other than that, like if you're just trying to start a quick game, yeah, this is perfect. And if you want to find the original creator, you can find them in the description below, or you can find them in the cards. Other than that, this has been Constantly Annika, signing out.